After 13 years of disappointment, broken promises, and that infamous lumberjack ending, Dexter Morgan returned from the dead to deliver what fans thought was impossible, a season that actually honors the legacy of the Bay Harbor Butcher. But Dexter Resurrection didn't just resurrect a character, it resurrected an entire franchise that had been declared clinically dead, and the result might just be the best Dexter we've ever seen. The Phoenix Rising from the Ashes. When Paramount Plus announced Dexter Resurrection in July 2024, the collective groan from the fanbase was audible. We've been burned before. The original series crashed and burned with that universally mocked finale in 2013, where Dexter became a lumberjack in what critics still call one of the worst endings in television history. New Blood in 2021 offered brief hope before dividing audiences with its controversial conclusion that seemingly killed off the character for good. The stakes couldn't have been higher for Resurrection. This wasn't just another sequel, it was the franchise's last shot at redemption. Fans weren't just grading it against other crime dramas, they were measuring it against a decade of accumulated frustration and broken promises. The question wasn't whether Resurrection would be good television, but whether it could repair the damage done by years of declining quality. Against all odds, it delivered. With a 95% rating on Rotten Tomatoes and a 9.2 overall score on IMDb, Resurrection became the most streamed Showtime premiere in history, drawing 3.1 million viewers in its first 3 days. The billion-dollar playground of death. The centerpiece of Resurrection's success lies in its most audacious creative gamble, Leon Prater's secret society of serial killers. On paper, the concept sounds like a parody, a twisted mashup of Eyes Wide Shut and Fight Club, where billionaires gather to celebrate murder like wine enthusiasts discussing vintage bottles. In less capable hands, this could have collapsed under its own absurdity. Instead, it became the backbone of the season's brilliance. Peter Dinklage's portrayal of Prater transformed what could have been a cartoonish villain into something genuinely unsettling, a venture capitalist who applies business metrics to bloodshed, measuring success not in profit margins, but in body counts. His trophy room, featuring artifacts from Arthur Mitchell, Brian Moser, and unknowingly Dexter himself, created a macabre museum that honored the franchise's history while pushing into uncharted territory. The society operated with corporate structure that gave the season natural momentum. Membership required dues, adherence to rules, and demonstrations of loyalty. Each gathering became a performance where Dexter, masquerading as the dark passenger Red Schmidt, had to prove his worth while secretly planning his fellow members' demises. The constant threat of exposure restored the tension that had been missing from the franchise's later years. The Code finds its voice again. Harry's code had always been Dexter's moral compass, the rules that separated him from the monsters he hunted. But as the original series deteriorated through seasons 6 through 8, that ethical framework became increasingly meaningless. Dexter killed out of convenience, rage, or panic, reducing the code to background decoration rather than a living force. Resurrection restored the code's power through the most devastating test imaginable: Angel Bautista. David Zaya's return as the former Miami Metro captain wasn't just nostalgic fan service, it was a surgical strike at Dexter's conscience. Bautista represented family, loyalty, and the last connection to Dexter's Miami life. When Prater demanded that Red prove his allegiance by killing Angel, the demand cut straight to the heart of everything Dexter had once stood for. The build-up stretched across multiple episodes, creating genuine moral tension. Bautista's investigation into the Bay Harbor Butcher case slowly tightened the noose around both himself and Dexter. Killing him would have solved every problem, eliminating the last person capable of connecting the dots, securing Dexter's position in Prater's empire, and protecting Harrison's future. The logical choice was murder. Dexter refused. His conscience, sharpened by years of moral drift, snapped back into focus with brutal clarity. Bautista was innocent, and the code didn't bend for convenience or survival. That decision doomed them both when Prater executed Angel in front of Dexter, forcing him to witness the cost of choosing principle over power. Harrison Morgan finally becomes a character. New Blood's greatest failure wasn't its controversial ending, it was its mishandling of Harrison Morgan. Jack Alcott's character felt underdeveloped, with shaky motivations and dialogue that never quite landed. By the time he shot his father in the finale, audiences weren't invested in whether Harrison was ready for that moment. They agreed he wasn't. Resurrection corrected this fundamental mistake by giving Harrison genuine agency. From the opening episodes, he acted with clear intent, carving out his own path that often contradicted his father's methods. His vigilante killing of Ryan Foster, a sexual predator attempting to rape a hotel guest, established him as someone driven by raw emotion rather than methodical precision. The difference mattered enormously. Where Dexter approached murder as ritual and discipline, Harrison saw violence as immediate justice. His actions were impulsive and unrefined, showing what inherited darkness looks like without inherited structure. A rogues gallery worth the hunt. Dexter has always lived and died by its antagonists. The ice truck killer mirrored Dexter's hidden nature. Trinity forced him to confront family obligations. When the show faltered in later seasons, weak villains were often to blame. The hollow doomsday killers of Season 6, the promising but ultimately disappointing brain surgeon of Season 8. Resurrection avoided this trap by creating not one memorable villain, but an entire gallery of threats. Each member of Praetor Society pressed on different psychological pressure points while serving the larger narrative. Peter Dinklage's Leon Praetor anchored the group as both puppet master and direct threat. His cold calculation masked genuine psychopathy, making him dangerous in ways that went beyond physical violence. When he ordered Angel's execution, it felt like a business decision rather than an emotional outburst, which somehow made it more chilling. David Dastmalchian delivered one of the season's best surprises as the Gemini killer. The mid-season revelation that Gemini wasn't one person, but identical twins sharing a single identity, provided the kind of clever misdirection that had been missing from recent Dexter installments. The twist recontextualized earlier episodes and kept the Killer Society arc from becoming predictable. Kristen Ritter's Mia LaPierre initially appeared to be a vigilante Dexter might admire, someone targeting sexual predators who escaped justice. Her eventual confession that she killed purely for pleasure reframed her as Dexter's disoriented reflection, showing Harrison and the audience exactly what murder without rules looked like. Uma Thurman's Charlotte provided the season's wild card. Operating in the gray zone between ally and enemy, she wielded leverage like a weapon, blackmailing and maneuvering in ways that kept her loyalties unclear until the final episodes. Her mother's cancer treatment provided genuine motivation for her actions, making her more than just another obstacle. By stacking these antagonists together, the writers created constant tension without relying on a single flat villain. Each enemy had a specific role, and together they generated the kind of sustained threat that hadn't existed since Trinity. Precision storytelling returns. Ask any longtime Dexter fan what went wrong in later years, and pacing inevitably comes up. Season 6 dragged through the Doomsday arc. Season 7 juggled too many subplots. Season 8 lurched between half-developed ideas before reaching that notorious finale. Entire episodes felt like filler, training viewers to expect dead weeks. Resurrection shattered those expectations under Clyde Phillips' returned leadership. Every episode mattered. Every subplot is connected to either Dexter's infiltration of the Killer Society, Harrison's dangerous evolution, or Batista's investigation into the Bay Harbor Butcher case. Even supporting characters served the larger narrative rather than existing for their own sake. The rhythm felt like classic Dexter at its best. Procedural elements fed into serialized arcs. Cliffhangers landed just as storylines risked becoming predictable. The Gemini reveal reframed the entire threat structure. Harrison's vigilante kill threw gasoline on existing tensions. Batista's discovery of Bay Harbor Butcher inconsistencies created a ticking clock that grew louder each episode. Episode 4, Call Me Red, exemplified this tightened approach. Dexter's infiltration of Praetor's dinner party balanced dark comedy with genuine menace, while Harrison's guilt over the Foster murder reached a breaking point that led to his reunion with his father. Multiple storylines converged without feeling forced, creating the kind of momentum that had been absent for years. By the finale, viewers wanted more episodes rather than feeling relieved the season was over. The conclusion tied off Praetor's storyline while setting up future threats, achieving the delicate balance between closure and anticipation that had eluded previous seasons. The verdict: Resurrection reigns supreme. When measuring Dexter Resurrection against the original series, the comparison isn't even close. While the first 4 seasons of the original show established the character and concept, they also contained the seeds of everything that would eventually go wrong. The moral ambiguity that initially made Dexter compelling gradually became moral confusion as writers struggled to maintain audience sympathy for an increasingly unsympathetic character. Resurrection solved this problem by fully embracing what Dexter had always been: a twisted morality play about someone trying to channel darkness toward productive ends. The show stopped pretending that moral complexity required moral confusion. Harry's code returned as a genuine force rather than a convenient excuse, creating clear stakes for every decision. After 19 years, multiple false endings, and enough disappointment to kill most franchises, Dexter Resurrection proved that sometimes death is just the beginning. The Bay Harbor Butcher is back, and he's never been better. What do you think? Does the original series' groundbreaking first 4 seasons outweigh Resurrection's polished perfection? Or has Michael C. Hall finally found the perfect vessel for his most iconic character? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more deep dives into the shows that define our television landscape. The Code demands it.